My daughter sold my Hamptons summer house and told me, "You don't belong here anymore." Those words sliced through me, sharper than an icy wind drifting through the summer sun, as they reverberated through the very fabric of my existence. I had poured decades of love, sweat, and significant financial resources into that house. It wasn't merely a structure, it was a sanctuary of laughter, a canvas painted with the vibrant hues of family gatherings and cherished memories. The realization that my own blood believed I was no longer worthy of a home, kissed by the ocean breeze and serenaded by the sounds of crashing waves, planted a heavy weight on my heart. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Veronica Sinclair, and my lineage is as opulent as my business portfolio is expansive. As the CEO of Sinclair Holdings, I have navigated the treacherous waters of the business world, managing assets valued at over $8 billion. My empire stretches across impressive industries: luxury goods, cutting-edge technology, renewable energy, each venture meticulously crafted through sharp strategy and relentless ambition. My family name is synonymous with success, interwoven into the fabric of high society. Yet, amidst all this affluence, I found myself ensnared in a torment that questioned my worthiness, all by the hands of my own daughter, Elise. The Hamptons house symbolized more than just a summer retreat. It stood as a testament to my perseverance and hard-earned triumphs. Nestled among vast mansions draped in elegance, it stood proudly on the beachfront, overlooking shimmering waters, my greatest legacy. For my family, it was more than mere bricks and mortar. It was a treasure trove of laughter and love, where my late husband and I hosted extravagant soirees, turning our lives into a montage of grandeur. Each room echoed with the joy of celebrations, the sunlight filtering through the windows like gentle whispers of fondness. The memories I had amassed there were vivid enough to almost be tangible, dancing along the polished walls. The home had stood witness to both milestones and heartaches alike. Family vacations that turned into cherished traditions, birthday parties overflowing with joy, and quiet evenings watching sunsets painted the sky in hues of orange and crimson, creating a veritable tapestry of unforgettable moments interwoven with our lives. Each laughter shared, every tear shed, all of it had been an indelible mark upon my heart, shaping my identity as a mother, a wife, and a woman who had built something beautiful from the ground up. Yet, beneath the glimmering surface, unseen tensions had been brewing, an undercurrent that would eventually sweep me off my feet. Elise had evolved from a bright-eyed girl chasing the waves to a formidable force in her own right, carrying the ambitions bestowed upon her by her mother, yet harboring dreams that often clashed with mine. As the years slipped by, my unwavering dedication to work overshadowed my role as a mother, blinding me to the growing chasm forming between us. I naively believed that my financial success would shield us from life's pains, a protective barrier against negativity, when in reality it only erected walls of silence that fortified an invisible divide. Throughout her formative years, Elise blossomed remarkably. She had a gift. Numbers and strategies rolled off her tongue as easily as laughter once did around our family table. It wasn't long before she became a rising star in the business world. Her tenacity and vigor mirrored my own. Yet, with newfound power came insatiable rebellion. The once precious discussions morphed into heated debates, clashes of perspectives that left us bruised and fragile. I wanted nothing more than to guide her through the intricate dance of the corporate world. Yet, every suggestion I made felt like a shackle to her fierce, independent spirit. The warmth of our exchanges was stolen by a brewing storm. Conversations quickly became mere exchanges, transactional at best, devoid of emotional depth. In a world where whispering friends began to express their concerns about Elise, I started to sense a foreshadowing of the unraveling that was about to come. I thought I could trust her completely. After all, trust is a fragile thing, an exquisite luxury that can shatter without warning. leaving behind a mosaic of broken pieces that you never wanted to inhabit. My misplaced trust extended to Marcus, my trusted financial advisor. He had been a confidant through life's many twists and turns, always standing steadfast at my side. How naive I was, convinced of his steadfast reliability, viewing him as the perfect custodian of my fortune. But complacency clouded my judgment. I failed to question the intentions that lay veiled beneath the surface. The first faltering steps began when an unfamiliar name appeared on my investment portfolio, a company with questionable ties to high-risk ventures I would never entertain. Distaste gnawed at me, a worm burrowing deeper into my psyche, and I knew I had to investigate further. Each day morphed into an exercise in desperation. I found myself investing countless hours, poring over spreadsheets, dissecting my financial statements, searching for the pinprick that would unravel this tapestry of deceit. Balancing my duties at Sinclair Holdings with the desperate attempts to comprehend the betrayal surrounding me became an art of juggled priorities. Underneath the weight of my responsibilities as CEO, suspicion crept into every corner of my life, ensuring that sleep was a mere shadow of peace. One fateful morning, I was combing through the numbers cascading in my accounts when alarming discrepancies jumped out at me like ghosts demanding attention. My heart raced, fingers fumbling against the glass screen as I accessed my bank statement. What had once been mere whispers of caution transformed into a cacophony of warnings. Dread washed over me like a tidal wave as I discovered an imminent auction for my beloved Hamptons property. $8 million glaring at me in bold letters, a staggering figure I had once believed impossible to relinquish. The reality of my precarious situation settled within me, deepening my sense of loss and inducing a spiral of questions about everything I had built. In a frenzy of adrenaline-fueled desperation, I dashed to confront Marcus, but he vanished the moment I uttered auction. The comfortable friendship we once held together crumbled into ashes, marred by the stinging betrayal that left me hollow. I scoured his office for clues, but what I found was only emptiness fostering questions. It was then that I felt the vacuum left in his absence weigh heavily upon me. I realized I was utterly alone in this whirlwind of confusion, with only shadows as my companions in despair. And then came that tension-filled evening when Elise revealed the devastating truth. The house had already been sold, the buyers poised ready to make their exit from my life forever. The depth of her betrayal was unfathomable, leaving me gasping in disbelief. Their address remained inscrutable, their motives shrouded in a thick mist of uncertainty. Her words cut through me sharper than glass, darker than betrayal from a friend. This was a treachery born of flesh and blood. "Mom," she said with a chilling finality that hung in the air, her voice unwavering. "You don't belong here anymore." Those words plunged deeper than the loss of property itself. They signified a haunting decline, a painful severing of my identity from an industry I had built my life around. The glamour of our sunlit summers now dissolved into shadows lurking ominously at the core of our family, replacing laughter with painful sorrow. In that moment, I realized that Elise wasn't just rejecting the house. She was rebuking the very core of who I had become. Once a socialite in a world of privilege, I now floundered adrift, navigating waters that were uncharted and murky. Whispers and judgment clouded the spaces where companionship should have thrived, filling the vacuum left by loss. I entered elite gatherings where I had once commanded the room, only to discover myself transformed into the subject of derisive conversations concerning my fall from grace. "Have you heard? Veronica lost the Hamptons house," they murmured in low tones, their laughter echoing in my mind, sharp as broken glass piercing through the remnants of my pride. The ebb and flow of societal status mirrored the tidal waves that crashed against my once serene property, each crash a reminder of the tumult within. In the quiet hours that followed, solitude engulfed me, a cold and bitter companion that echoed through the vacant spaces of my life. I roamed from room to room in my grand yet empty mansion, where memories once bloomed thick and rich, but now lay dormant, void, and lifeless. I felt as if I were a ghost haunting my own existence, grappling with the silence in a symphony that once played a joyful tune. The walls that had echoed with laughter now stood as solemn reminders of my failures, stark against the brightness of what used to be. Amidst the chaos, I longed for clarity, a beacon to pull me from the depths of despair. I adorned myself in a splendid Chanel suit, each stitch a connection to the fabric of my identity, a reminder of who I once was. The heirloom diamonds sparkled like remnants of my past, whispering echoes of joy, resilience, and tenacity, urging me to rise from the ashes. I stepped into a vast mansion auction, feeling simultaneously exposed and emboldened, my heart racing with anticipation. A rare, vintage chandelier illuminated my way, its lavish crystals shimmering against the biting silence that enveloped the room. As I approached the bidding platform, a tempest of emotions swirled within. As they called for bids, something ignited my spirit, igniting a once dormant flame. "I will offer the buyers $100,000 more than their best offer," I declared, my voice resonating in the opulent chamber, slicing through the murmurs like a silken knife. Gasps rippled throughout the room as eyes fixated on me, astonishment writ large on their faces. It felt grotesquely invigorating, a final gambit in a chess game I had never wanted to play. In that moment, I seized control back into my trembling hands, if only for a fleeting instant. The auction floor buzzed with whispers of disbelief. I could almost taste my triumph, tinged with bitterness. Yet even amidst my fleeting joy, the expansive weight of loneliness wrapped around my shoulders like a suffocating cloak. The crowd might have marveled at my returned assertiveness, but the true battle waged fiercely within. With every bid voiced in challenge, I was not merely fighting for a house. I was wrestling with a past that felt like quicksand, threatening to pull me under. Back home, I tossed and turned in bed, contemplating what belonging truly meant. This experience, although it shattered my previously held illusions, sculpted wisdom within me. I began to see the value of relationships more clearly. I understood that wealth isn't solely a measure of financial success. It is enriched by the connections we cultivate along the way. The true essence of wealth isn't found in luxury or possessions. Rather, it resides in the value of authentic relationships, those that nourish the spirit, sustain us through hardships, and provide a robust foundation upon which we can rely. Money can indeed buy extravagance, but it cannot purchase connection, understanding, or a true sense of belonging. What I had lost transcended mere property. It was the very foundation of bonds that had crumbled beneath the oppressive weight of ambition. Through the turbulent waters of turmoil, I gathered the scattered pieces of my heart, stitching them back together with threads of resilience and clarity. Throughout my life, I had gathered empires, but the most vital wealth cannot mend a fractured heart. As I emerged from this tale of tragedy and resilience, I grew wiser. I relinquished my unholy need for material validation, understanding at last that my true fortune intertwines with love, trust, and mutual respect. It became glaringly apparent to me that I was not merely Veronica Sinclair of Sinclair Holdings. I was a mother who had lost touch with her daughter, a woman who had traded compassion for competition, and a soul that had longed for connection but misguidedly sought it within the gilded cage of wealth. So, dear readers, as I invite you to reflect deeply on my story, I urge you to consider: how sturdy is your foundation? Upon what has your empire been built? Through the tumultuous pathways of life, remember that the greatest riches blossom from transparency, honesty, and most importantly, love. What experiences shape who you are? Have you ever faced a moment that forced you to choose between letting go and seizing back control? I implore you to ponder, what does belonging truly mean to you? In moments of darkness, will you grasp your carefully cultivated relationships, or will you ache alone for lost luxuries? The treasure lies not in the possessions we hold, but within our connections, waiting to guide us through the storms that life may bestow upon us. Perhaps the only true belonging we can find is in the peace we cultivate within ourselves, understanding the deep ties that connect us to others, even when the waves of life threaten to drown us. Let us all remember that ultimately, life is less about the properties we accumulate and more about the hearts we nurture. What will your legacy be?